Chiefs Kingdom, what's happening? Gary McKenzie here. And what do you know? We started the season and the Chiefs already have one blowout win. What an awesome game. I thought it was great to watch. We're going to start on another journey where I'm going to go through the season and I'm going to evaluate Andy Reid. I'm going to give him a grade for every game through the season. If I have a little time on the side, I'll throw in some other side projects, but the meat and taters for this season, from my standpoint, is I'm going to grade Andy Reid's games one by one. So, without any further ado, let's go. RGR football. So, you might be curious what's with the duds. Well, I figured if I'm going to do a video series where I'm grading Andy Reid, I might as well look like I have at least some authority behind my name. You may ask yourself, who is this guy and why does he think he has the ability to evaluate Andy Reid? The truth of the matter is, I really don't. I'm never going to be able to keep up with Andy Reid and the football mind that he has, but I do have a background teaching at the University of Missouri in the computer science department. And it's a spot in my life, or a place in my life, that I never really thought I would be. In my 20s, things were pretty wild for me. My life was a mess. And as I got older, I started figuring some things out, and I was able to really turn things around. And to this day, I still can't believe I'm a professor at MU. So as far as authority goes with grading Andy Reid, I've written series before where I did this, and I do have a lot of experience evaluating students and evaluating things in general. So I thought, what the heck, why not? Why don't I give it another try? I'll do another series where I grade Andy Reid again. So that's why I'm wearing the jacket, and I hope you all enjoy this video. Before we go any further, though, I want to give the fan shout out, and the fan shout out goes to Chris Myers. And the reason Chris Myers is getting the shout out is because he came up with the name for this show. So I kicked a lot of ideas around. The comments were great. I got a lot of suggestions from y'all. They were wonderful. But I really liked this idea from Chris, where he basically said that the show should be called Between the Lines, where the L is the X and Y, or the L is the X and Y axis for a graph. So I really liked that. I think Between the Lines is cool. So that's the name we're going to go with. It's Between the Lines. So we're going to do a lot of stat work here. During the season, we're going to evaluate Andy Reid more. I'll try to throw in some other videos when I can, like I said earlier. But for now, we're grading Andy Reid. So thank you, Chris, for that awesome idea. I really liked it. I liked it enough that's what we're going to call the show. So good on you, man. Now, as far as grading goes, I'm going to explain the handful of things that I use to build my rubric. And I'm also going to share a link to the rubric in the details of this video. So you can go in and look at how I'm evaluating these things if you want a little more detail. So the four things we're going to really key on in this series are team preparedness. So that would mean, did the team come out looking like they were ready to play? Were they focused? Was the defense swarming towards the ball? Did they have high energy on offense? Were they mentally focused? Did they not commit a lot of turnovers? Did they not commit a lot of penalties? Did they take care of things when they needed to take care of them? Did they execute the game plan well? So that's the first area where we're going to look as far as evaluating these performances from Andy Reid. The second are key decisions. So these are key decisions that Andy Reid makes during the game. And these would include decisions where he chose to challenge a play or going forward on fourth down. Those are the two key areas, or the two main areas where key decisions come into play for Andy Reid. The third is play calling. That's worth 30 points. And this is basically how well did Andy Reid mix up his run and pass mixture or ratio, and as well as how did Reid utilize the players that he had available to him to put them in positions to succeed, and what was the overall outcome of the play calling? Was it successful? Did he get a good yards per play average? So that's the third item, play calling. And then the last is, what was the outcome of the game? Did they win? Did they lose? Was it a convincing win? Was it a win versus a really good opponent, etc.? So those four items there, they all add up to 100 points: 30 for key decisions and 30 for play calling, 20 for team preparedness, and 20 for win-loss. The reason I had team preparedness a little less is because that a lot of that does rely on the players. It is Andy's job to mentally prepare, or Andy Reid's job to mentally prepare them for the game, but that's somewhat on the players. And then the win-loss is kind of a moot point. Obviously, that's the main goal, but there's a lot of other pieces that happen in the game that drive that outcome. So the first one for team preparedness, I have this picture of Justin Reid because this is a masterclass of an example of Andy Reid getting his team ready to play. Justin Reid came to the Chiefs roster, came to the Chiefs team, and he let the coaching staff know, hey, I've got a bit of a leg. I used to play soccer, and I used to be a kicker in high school. And so I will spend some time kicking in practice. And a lot of coaches might have told that player, to go back to practicing defense, don't spend any time kicking. But Andy Reid chose to have Justin Reid practice kicking during training camp. And what do you know? The first game of the season, Harrison Butker hurts his ankle, and Justin Reid immediately gets put into the game, not only to place kick on kickoffs, but he also made a couple point after attempts, and he made one of them. So Andy Reid did a wonderful job of listening to his players, being open to something that might be a little unusual, that another coach might kind of smirk at, and he gave Justin Reid the time to develop that skill or work on that skill during practice, and it paid off because the Chiefs' kicking game didn't really take too much of a step back whenever Justin Reid was kicking off. Now he did miss an extra point, but what do you expect from a guy who hasn't really been practicing kicking for a long time, especially in a pressure situation like kicking an extra point? So kudos to Andy Reid for preparing the team in that way, and that's an awesome example of just the kind of man and the kind of coach Andy Reid is, to put Justin Reid in that position, and it really did help the team, and it helped Harrison Butker. So hopefully Harrison Butker's leg or his ankle can heal up quickly so he can be ready for the Chargers game on Thursday on a short turnaround. But I have all the confidence in the world that Justin Reid can continue to take the kickoff duties until Butker's ankle is 100%. And I want to take a brief moment just to recognize how awesome it was that Harrison Butker was able to two-step a 54-yard field goal and nail it right down the middle. That just blows my mind how good you have to be to do that. And I was so impressed with Harrison Butker's guts on that kick. Man, he's a real one, and the Chiefs are lucky to have him. As far as penalties go, the Chiefs had 3 penalties, and they added up to 25 yards. 3 penalties in an NFL game is not a lot. So the Chiefs team did a good job of keeping away from making foolish mistakes that impacted the outcome of the game or impacted the outcome of a drive. And one of those penalties was Austin Ryder being an ineligible man downfield, and it really wasn't his fault. It was kind of on the way the play broke down. If you remember, the Chiefs were near the goal line, and Ryder was blocking, and then he thought that Patrick Mahomes had handed the ball off, and so he was kind of moving downfield looking for somebody to block, but he had held onto the ball and was getting ready to make a pass. And so it's just kind of one of those penalties where really no one's to blame. It's just one of those things that happens in an NFL game. And so really, if you look at it that way, there are only 2 penalties where you could really fault the Chiefs players during the game, and that's incredible. If the Chiefs are able to continue that trend, they'll be really well off for it. It's awesome to see that they made so few mistakes in their first game of the season when there's a lot of other teams that opened their season looking very sloppy. And so I really think that also plays to Andy Reid's ability to prepare his team by letting them take more reps during training camp and during the games leading up to the season, the preseason games. So Andy Reid did a really good job getting this team ready. Now, the one area where I'm going to deduct points for the way the Chiefs played on Sunday versus the Cardinals is that they fumbled the ball 4 times. And you might not have recognized it because they only lost one of those fumbles. That was that passing play to Juju Smith-Schuster where he caught it across the middle in the second quarter while the game was still kind of in play, and ended up giving the Cardinals the ball back at the end of the second half. But there were 3 other fumbles in that game. One of them, Juju Smith-Schuster dropped a fumble. He dropped the ball and ended up going out of bounds. And then there are 2 other fumbles in garbage time. That one of them was on Henne, one of them was on Pacheco. But that's 4 fumbles in a game, and you can't be doing that if you want to take care of the ball. So the Chiefs need to clean that up. And I would expect defenders going forward through the season to really be trying to knock the ball out of the Chiefs receivers' hands. This is not a one-off thing. So the Chiefs receivers need to be aware, hey, as soon as I catch the ball, high and tight, tuck it away. Don't carry it loose. Expect people to be punching at it. And hopefully they don't have any fumbles next week versus the Chargers. Because of all this, I've evaluated, as far as the Chiefs team preparedness goes, at a 15 out of 20 points. So not too bad, but they do have room for improvement where they can hold on to the ball a little better. As far as key decisions go, there weren't too many in this game. There were no challengeable plays where Andy Reid might have had an opportunity to throw the red flag. So there was really only one play in this game that I think fell into a key decision, and that was the 4th and 2 on the Arizona 4-yard line with 7:37 left in the second quarter, and the Chiefs were up by a touchdown, 14-7. My measuring point for whether or not a team is making a good decision or whether or not a head coach is making a good decision when it comes to these key decisions is if that decision was made 1,000 times, would the decision have a positive outcome over half of those times? And so Andy Reid chose to go for it on 4th and 2. The ball was on Arizona's 4-yard line. They ended up picking it up. And if I ask myself, would I want the Chiefs to make that decision, that choice? If they made that choice 1,000 times, would they benefit from it more than half the time? And my answer to that is yes. Absolutely. I think it was the right decision. And we talked about this during the offseason. The Chiefs need to be more aggressive on 4th down. So I was glad to see that, and it paid off with a touchdown. Andy Reid crafted a nice little play where it's kind of a rub play, where he knew the linebacker was spying or keeping an eye on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And so he sent 3 receivers over in that area, and the linebacker had a hard time getting through that mess, and Edwards-Helaire ended up having the easiest touchdown you might ever see. So awesome play call, awesome decision. Because of that, I give Andy Reid a 100% on the key decision field, or the key decision area, where he gets 30 out of 30. The next is play calling. So throughout the game, the Chiefs did a good job of mixing up the pass and run ratio. It was a prototypical Andy Reid game. They threw the ball 42 times, ran the ball 27 times. So that's throwing the ball 60% of the time and rushing the ball 39% of the time. So that's a classic Andy Reid 60-40 mix. So we're good there. 9 different Chiefs players caught a pass from Mahomes. The offense was well distributed, and you could see the effect that it had on the defense. They didn't know who to key off on. And we talked about this before the season even started, where the Chiefs have an element of surprise and teams aren't going to know how to defend them. And that's exactly what you saw on the first game of the season versus the Cardinals. And I expect this to continue well into the season. I'm hoping it lasts the full season, but you never know. So the Chiefs did an awesome job of keeping the defense off balance and mixing who they were giving the ball to, and it paid huge dividends because they ended up having a 7.1 yards per play average throughout the game. Just to get an idea of how good that is, the leader in 2021 averaged 6.1 yards per play. So that's a full yard per play greater than the best team in 2021, which ended up being the Buccaneers and the 49ers. So there were many awesome play calls throughout the game. One of them was that 4th and 2 call, but Andy Reid did a great job of mixing the play call, having success with the plays that he was dialing up. And so I give Coach Reid a 30 out of 30 on the play calling grade. So he's doing it really well. Lastly is the win-loss or the outcome of the game. And the Chiefs handled this game throughout. There was never really a question after, the middle or later part of the second half. The Chiefs dominated. They ended up winning by 22 points. Some of those points that were scored at the end of the game by the Cardinals were against the Chiefs' second-string defense. So he was able to pull the starters, and the Chiefs still won handily. They won the game by, like I said, 22 points. So the outcome of the game couldn't have gone much better, and I give Andy Reid a 30 out of 30 as far as the outcome goes. Actually, that should be 20 out of 20. That's my mistake. Please forgive me. So Andy Reid's total grade is a 95 out of 100. This was a really good game for Andy Reid. I give him an A. So my question to you all is, what grade do you give Andy Reid? Do you think the 95 is good enough? Do you think he should have got 100? Do you think he should have got a 90? I give him a solid A. I think it was a great Andy Reid game. Wasn't perfect, but it was about as close as you can get as far as execution goes in the 4 areas that we discussed. So with that, the video is coming to an end. And I want to say thank you to everyone who watched this video. And as always, make sure that you like and subscribe and tell everyone you know in Chiefs Kingdom about RGR football and about, the new show Between the Lines, because it really helps this show grow, and we have places we want to go with that growth. And also, if you like the video, it helps the algorithm suggest this content to other Chiefs fans who may be interested in ingesting this sort of content on YouTube. So as always, I can't thank you enough. I hope you enjoyed this first video in our series. Things could get a little bit crazy as the season goes on. I doubt Andy Reid gets an A every game. If he does, I love it. I love it. But if he doesn't, which he probably won't, we'll be here to tell you about it and where we think he could have done better or where it went wrong. So with that, really appreciate you. Make sure you comment what you think Andy Reid did well in the game, what you think he didn't do well, what you liked about this video, what you didn't like about this video. I appreciate y'all. And with that, Gary signing out. Catch you later. Go Chiefs.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.